is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today, another day filled with parabolic rippers going vertical. If you enjoy the videos, guys, I would appreciate it if you like the video and comment any comment because it helps the algorithm. And I mentioned in the previous video, I actually did purchase a mic over the July 4 weekend, and it's coming in a few days, so the audio definitely will get better. So I appreciate you guys. So today, the first stock I mentioned was LGPS. This one I mentioned that $1 key psychological hold. And if you watch my videos, you know that that's nothing new. I say this every video where psychology is a big factor in day trading or in general, any market condition, right? And even if you trade any crypto futures, it doesn't matter. Psychology is always very important. So the one level is very strong pivot in small caps, especially. You really want to write that, you want to remember that, write it down or somewhere. $1 as well as 150, basically whole dollar and quarter intervals, right? But the micro pennies, even the 5 cent, 10 cents are very important as well. So LGPS, this one ended up, I mentioned at 1 and actually dipped. I remember watching it live because I was actually trading this as well. So I think it dipped to like 97 cents. I don't remember the exact amount, but it actually dipped and it didn't even rip for a couple minutes. I remember, let me check. Yeah, this stock actually didn't even rip immediately. It was for a couple minutes actually. There was plenty of time if people wanted to trade to get in, right? So after it started to break over 1, it went straight to 301, which is a 200% gain, which is astronomical. And we're talking like what, that was like 30 minutes. So these savings accounts pay like, 1%, like a few percent, you make it, crazy amount, right, guys? So LGPS was my really big play today. First pick I mentioned. And right after, actually, this is the crazy thing. Right after I mentioned MBIO, this one I said again, same thing. I made a clear 150 hold, and then a rip face to 7. And again, I'm not saying that 100% of the time if a stock holds a level, it doesn't rip. That's not a fact. Like 100% of the time, it does not rip. But more often than not, I would say definitely more than half of the time it will rip because I've just been in stocks a while, like many years, and it's just what I picked up on as well as other people. It's not just myself, but other traders also agree that have been doing small caps a long time. They also agree, right, the psychological levels. So MBIO, this one actually ripped almost 400%. And this was, again, just a few hours. I think this was like 2 hours, which is insane. So what made me like MBIO? If you watch my video, you already know, guys. I don't gotta explain MBIO. This one was a low flow, right? Low flow combined with high volume, and those, again, they're very, very important when you're doing trading small cap. You always want to look at volume, and a good book I recommend, I'm not sponsored, is Volume Price Analysis by Anna Cooling. Volume is very important in small caps, as especially when the float is involved, they make really big moves in a short period of time. So once you get really familiar with volume and how price action is connected, you're gonna do really good. So MBIO is a monster. Next stock, BTBT. This one I mentioned it as on the previous video actually as a swing type of setup because this is a higher float stock. And the thing with higher float stocks is that they don't move the same as low float, which basically low floats, they move really like whippy, like parabolic type of price action. But thicker stocks, we're talking higher float stocks, they move slow, right, most of the time. BTBT, this one has like 300, close to 300 million float. That's high float. And this one was a sector type of play, and it made a really good move, and it still looks really good as I'm watching it right now live. And you really want to see that 4 hold for continuation. That was a beautiful play. The next stock was there's a lot of stocks that actually rephased today. The next one I mentioned was a multi-day setup, Vor and Wolf. These two I mentioned many times. You could check where I said they were multi-day plays. And if you trade, in my opinion, the strongest or most reliable setup is multi-day. The easiest as well. If you're a bit more beginner trader and you don't know what strategy to use, this is one of my favorite strategies. I'd say easily top 5 strategies to bank in day trading, right? Which is called the multi-day setup. So what that is you look left. If a stock made a big move up and then it consolidate, it doesn't fully go down. For example, if a stock from $1 rips to $2 and it goes all the way back to like under $1, that's not multi-day. continuation. But if a stock, let's say, goes to $1, it goes from 1 to 2, and then it drops to, let's say, $1.70, and then I'll consolidate. That is a perfect multi-day setup. So what you want to do is you just draw out the lines, like supply, support. You draw out the resistances, you draw out the trend lines. And there's many videos online where they teach you, and it's really easy to do once you practice. Anybody could do it. And then all you really have to do, this is really simple. Just once previous resistance breaks out, and then it becomes support, or you could look at if it's holding those key supports, you just get in, and then most of the time it goes up. Not 100% right, but most of the time it does go up. And this is just based off my experience and what I've been seeing other traders do as well, right? Because this is a really popular strategy, which I think, honestly, if you're a beginner trader, you should stick to these type of setups, which is more macro, extended time frame, compared to just trying to scalp, like those, quick in and out. Those are more for experienced traders that have been trading for years, where it's just going really quick, right? But Vor and Wolf were just monsters. I mentioned both, I think. It was like not even $1. They were both cheap and pennies, and then they just end up ripping face, and they rip hundreds of percents. So that was a really strong play. And then the next one, PTHS. This one was a more expensive stock. Actually, this was, I think, 23 when I mentioned it. It ripped face vertical to 54.29, and this actually halted up many times. So basically, I mentioned when a stock halts up, one of the main reasons why is because when a stock halts up, there's a high amount of volume and there's a high amount of interest, right? Usually when a stock halts up with big volume, that is usually in the case of confirmation, right? Especially when you're looking at more expensive stocks, you want to see continuation. You don't want to just see a halt up and immediate halt down. And PTHS was, again, a more expensive stock, which I mentioned. If you watch my previous videos, I clearly said that for any stock over $10, as long as it holds trend, then it's most likely just going to keep riding, like riding the trend. And what I like to use for trend most of the time is the 9 EMA. If you remember, you want to remember that, guys. The 9 EMA is very, very useful. I know I said in the past indicators are not something I really focus on nowadays compared to many years ago, but if I had to pick one EMA, 9 EMA is nice for day trading, especially if you're trading shorter time frames, right? The 9 EMA. And this stock was insane. I was watching the tape, right? The level, it was just kept skipping up, and I hope people banked on this. I actually had people that messaged on stock Twitch, and I think Twitter, they said they banked on it. So that made me glad. I like it when I see people that message me saying they banked. It really, makes my day, right? So in the future, if you guys bank, I suggest you write, let me know, because I'm just doing this to help people, right? And it's like if I see people banking it, and it's like really nice. So the next stock, ASST. This one, guys, I said many times in my videos, ASST. This one I mentioned around 375. It ripped and went completely, bazooka. Today it went to like 10. What did it go to? 10.45 or I think 11 today. ASST. Yeah, this thing went to like 10.45, and it just went vertical. So if you watch my previous video, you know why I like this setup. But for the people that forgot or didn't watch it, basically the reason I like this trade as a swing trade idea, again, if you remember what I said in this video, what is this setup? Go to the chart. What does this setup look like? This is a multi-day setup. I just said like a few minutes ago, multi-day setups are one of the best strategies in my arsenal, like that I use. And it's not just myself, but a lot of people do it. Multi-day setup, you look at the previous, if stock makes a big run up, then consolidate. And then what I really liked about the stock also, this is a big plus, is that it was in the Bitcoin sector, right? And if you watch my videos, you know how I keep mentioning every day, crypto, Bitcoin is really, really hot this year. Bitcoin is just breaking all-time highs, and this is a perfect, not just technical, but it was a sector type of play, right? Which I was really good at. So ASST was a monster. This thing, I hope a lot of people banked. I actually had some people again message me saying they banked, so I'm really happy for you guys. I'm going to share a lot more trade ideas. Guys, every day I'm going to be posting on stock Twitch, making videos, Twitter, so that was ASST. The next one was CYCC. This one, again, this was a pre-market pivot play I mentioned that 5 key, and then as soon as that 5 key broke with volume, it just game over. It ripped face to 720. That's a $2.20 move in a few minutes. So if you use 1K shares, that's like over 2K, right? $2,000 is insane. And again, everything I say in my videos, I'm just saying potential ranges because I don't want people misinterpreting it, thinking that, oh, if I say the stock goes from, let's say, 5 to 20, that is guaranteed you're gonna catch a full move. Because I know it's obvious, but I just want to say to, just to make it clear, it's not the whole move. I'm just saying, like, put potential profit to show the range so that people, it's just motivation as well as just statistical based as well, because trading is a very statistical number based profession, right? So that was CYCC, and I actually had a lot of people still really liking GNS TMC, and so I'm going to be mentioning that real soon, guys. So the last stock that I'm going to be mentioning that's not a swing trade was CURR. Actually, this could be a multi-day setup, but this one already made a blow off the top move, which means it already popped off like Parabolic. I mentioned that it was like a penny, like it was in the pennies, and then a rip face to like 238 today. And you could check the timestamp. I actually mentioned the day trade setup as well, the flat top towards the close. So this stock was insane. This was also a low float. I think it was like 20 million or something like that float. Anything under 30 million is low float. 30 million or lower, I like the float, right? Because some people say under 10 million has to be low float. 20 million, in my opinion, anything 30 is fine. And again, I trade also, other stocks as well, not just low float. So if you trade those higher float stocks, they also make big moves as well. So that was CURR. So let's get into GNS. So GNS today, I was watching it. It popped off pre-market, went to 170. But this was on lighter volume. And if you know anything about volume and small caps, you have to have actual like strong volume. This looked more like it was just like very small amount. I don't want to say exactly what happened, but I'm looking at it even right now. It's not actual like when when news comes out and you see massive volume. But this stock tried to break out over 150, and then it actually sold off hard, really hard actually. And the very beautiful thing was that it held over $1. I really liked that, and I really liked the fact that not just $1, but you could check yourself, this maintained trend, which is insane. So this stock goes from 170 to 110, and then a maintained trend, and it actually bounced all the way to 150, almost 140, 142. So that shows that just doesn't show strength, but it shows that actually this stock has a personality, right, of bouncing back. And you could see it's evident if you go left. Every single time that happened, I'm looking at it right now live, and you could check yourself. This stock, every time it sells off hard, look, it bounces back in an even bigger fashion. Look, sold off, bounce, sold off, bounce. And this stock, I'm looking online, right, Roger Hamilton and Kevin Malone. I said in the previous videos, but these guys, they really seem to know what they're doing, because they keep releasing news. You can check yourself, like they keep releasing news after news after news, and they keep saying they have more news. And it's true. I think they do have many catalysts coming down the line, and I'm not just talking years from now. I'm talking literally within a few days. I'm speaking like a few weeks, I think. So GNS, honestly, a lot of people shouldn't even be worried about this stock. I mentioned it, I think that was around 50 cents, 52. No, it's like 48 cents. I actually mentioned it around there. And so ripping face to 170. Of course, it's gonna have sellers, and it's going to pull back, right? And this stock, again, over that 150 key. And as long as the stock is over, I'm looking at it right now, I think it's as long as it's over 80 cents, 85 cents, it's still a trend. It's very bullish. I'm just trying to do live. Yeah, this stock is far from that, from 80, right? 80 cents. So this stock, GNS, you really want to pay attention to what they're doing with the catalyst and Bitcoin. Okay, Roger Hamilton, as well as Kevin Malone. I highly recommend you follow them both, not just on Twitter, but any outlet they have, YouTube or platform they have, because they're very communicative CEOs, communicative. Because I've been, small caps in a long time, and I've seen many CEOs that don't care at all. They don't release any type of news for months or years. or they don't say anything. They're like pretty much ghosts. But these these people, I really like the fact that how open they are, right? So that was GNS. What's your average, guys? I'm curious. Write down in the comments what's your average. I'm just curious. TMC, this is another one that a lot of people like and request me to make a video on. This one I said it many times. I think it was around $5, and the ripping face to 816. TMC is a higher market cap stock. This is a 2.4 billion market cap. It's over 2 billion, and the float is also high as well. So this one definitely will move slower. But again, what do you notice about the personality of TMC? Every time it sells off, there's a lot of people interested in the stock. They buy it back up the dips. And looking at it right now, the daily chart, this is just very, very beautiful. It's basically entering parabolic territory where the stock goes up. And then once it makes that new high, it doesn't just completely round trip, right? It's just holding those levels. And not just that, it's starting to type of flag type of setup, right? If you know me, I don't know if I said in the past, but flag is one of my, my go-tos when I day trade. Flags, guys. So if you have any other stocks you want me to analyze, write down in the comments. And again, the new mic is coming in a few days. I don't think it's gonna drastically change my voice. I know a lot of people talked about my voice, but it definitely will make the sound better. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, leave in the comments. And I'm gonna be on StockTwist every day, same time, morning time, and I'm going to be sharing trade ideas. And let's have a great week, guys. It just started. There's still many days left. Have a great night, everyone.